Welcome to season 3 of the Kingdom Corner, Dale. Here we
Ooh,
are.
man, season 3. Here we go.
Hey, I'm not saying that we're responsible for all these Super Bowl wins, but all I know is since this podcast has been started, the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl every year. So there's got to be something
Man,
to that, right?
gotta be something. We're going for number 3 here.
That's right. Number 3. Who could need anything else but that?
So does it mean if they don't win the Super Bowl, we have to cancel the podcast?
Well, we'll leave that up to the fans, but I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Okay.
Hey,
There you go.
yeah. All right. Well, in this episode, we're going to be diving into the 2024 NFL draft, recapping some of that, maybe looking at some of the past years as well, seeing how some of these draft picks have panned out for Brett Veach and the Chiefs organization, and looking at what it really takes to make an NFL roster and a few other questions too. Dive in a little bit of the Rashee Rice
Oof.
saga going on. And man, look at some of these new players the Chiefs have signed too. So stick with us as we jump into this.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
All right, Dale. So 2024 NFL draft is in the books. How do you feel
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is I just wait. I just wait for to see what the product looks on the field. I can remember when John Dorsey drafted Kareem Hunt. I said, "What in the world are we doing drafting Kareem Hunt from Toledo, Ohio?" I mean, my goodness, I can't even tell you what the mascot is of that school.
I don't think people from Toledo can tell you.
And
No,
so,
just kidding. Just kidding.
yeah, I think it's like a rocket, right? Is it a rocket? Is
I
it
don't
Toledo
know.
Rockets? Anyway,
I couldn't tell you.
but it was like then you saw him on the field, and you're like, oh, that's why they drafted. And then
Yeah.
you fast forward to 7 years ago when they drafted Mahomes, and it was like Alex Smith just had an MVP season, and we're drafting a quarterback in the first round. What are we doing?
Yeah. Was that your
And
honest thoughts? Were you worried about drafting Mahomes when we had Alex Smith?
oh yeah, when I was like, well, I think I remember talking to you. I was like, what are we doing? Alex Smith just had the best year of his life, and we're gonna go with this
Yeah.
young guy that was erratic at best.
So who did you think when the Chiefs traded up to get Mahomes, who did you think the Chiefs were going to draft there?
I would either thought I don't honestly remember, but I would
Or
have thought,
position,
oh
I guess.
yeah, I would have thought another weapon like
I thought they were going to trade up to draft a linebacker. That's what I really
okay,
thought. I thought
yeah,
they were going to get another inside linebacker. It's like, all right, I like this. And then Mahomes is off the board. I'm like, what? Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it worked out. I'm glad I was wrong, but man, that for sure surprised me.
Well, the crazy thing was, I'm sure you've heard, but the Sean Payton, the now Denver Broncos coach, but was the New Orleans coach, said they were going to pick him next, Mahomes. And so, hey, and Brett Beach and Andy Reid, we trust. And so let's trust them and let's just see how it goes. So,
All right. Well, sounds good to me.
well,
So,
which draft pick are you most excited about to see on the field?
uh, great question. Great question. So, I mean, I have so many thoughts about these things. So,
Yeah,
and they're not necessarily complete thoughts, even because, as we were discussing before, I don't know that you can really accurately grade a draft class until 2 years later, maybe even 3 years later.
yeah,
Because what we see right now coming out of college, that's not necessarily going to be what we see in the NFL, right? I mean, when
right.
the year that Patrick Mahomes was drafted, Mitchell Trubisky was the number one pick, and everybody thought he was a lock.
Yeah,
A lock. I mean, he's still in the league, but I mean, he
right.
hasn't started a game in probably 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So no one really knows how these guys are going to really adjust the NFL until they're actually in it.
right.
So we'll have to wait
All
and
right.
see how that happens. But I guess to answer your question, the one I'm most excited about has the most upside as well as the most to prove, I think, is Xavier Worthy. So
Okay, there you go. That's probably the most well known draft pick for the Kansas City Chiefs because he was the first round. And which was crazy is that they moved up and traded with the Buffalo Bills. And so in turn, really in reality, Buffalo Bills gave us Xavier Howard Worthy. If he turns out to be amazing, then did Buffalo just let us beat them again?
I mean, it's what it seems like, right? Because they're the ones who gave us the pick for the homes, and now the pick for
Yeah.
to move up to get Xavier Worthy. I mean, here's the other question: is Buffalo just saying, you know what, it doesn't matter, we can win
No.
without him, even though we lost Stephon Diggs and
Buffalo doesn't win
and
8 games this year.
oh, that's a bold prediction.
Buffalo, they're winning 7 or less.
All right, hey, make sure you make note of that. We'll have to come back to that here.
There's no
So
way with everything they lost. They lost everybody on defense and everybody on offense. I mean, they have
yeah,
nobody.
yeah. Hey, they got
And
Josh Allen, bud.
that's perfect. Perfect. Let him have 35 turnovers this year. That'd be fantastic. So
Yes,
anyway,
it
but yeah,
would.
so it's pretty wild to think that the Buffalo Bills traded for that pick. And then my other question to you is, what if you are on the Kansas City Chiefs and
Yeah,
they draft your position?
yeah.
What are you thinking?
If I'm on the Chiefs and I draft my position, I'm thinking, well, well, it depends on where they draft him to, right?
Okay.
So because if they're drafting him in the seventh round, like, all right, just getting some backup. If they draft it in the
Right.
first or second round, I'm thinking, oh man, my roster spot might be in trouble here.
Yeah.
So it depends on where they draft him, I think.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking about the not that Travis Kelsey's any trouble. I mean, congratulations to Travis getting extended. Congratulations to
Yeah,
Kansas City Chiefs for extending Travis Kelsey. Um, but round 4 they picked that tight end from TCU, and I was like,
yeah.
oh man, I wonder what Noah Gray's thinking right now.
Oh yeah, I thought that too. Well, and the
Okay.
other one, I'll tell you the one that really surprised me the most.
Huh?
So the draft pick that surprised me the most was when they picked that center, right? So
Oh
they picked a
yeah.
center this year, and maybe
Right.
they're expecting him to just move down the line or whatever. I thought, man, we have Creed Humphrey.
Yeah.
Are they now? Is this a sign that they're not sure they can re-sign him because he's probably
Right.
going to be the highest paid center in the NFL.
Right.
Now that Jason Kelsey's retired, I don't know that there's a better center. And
Yeah.
so he might become the highest paid, or maybe it's just insurance just in case they can't re-sign him.
Oh.
So, but that one was the draft pick that surprised me the most for sure.
Okay. So it's the center. What round did they pick him in? Was it early or late?
It was later, it was in the fifth round. So
Oh.
Hunter, hopefully I don't butcher his last name, Hunter Norzad from Penn State.
Oh. I mean,
So, that's what I'm saying is that I don't know. But hey, hats
yeah.
off to all these guys that got drafted, right?
Oh man, congratulations.
So here's some stats. You might know some of these, maybe not. So, just the hard and the stats, how hard it is to get picked in the NFL draft. So there are over 1 million high school football players in the United States, just in the
My
United
goodness.
States. And I
Wow.
realize that that's mainly where most of them are, but over 1 million football players.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so of those, only 73,700 are going to play at the NCAA level in college football. So 7.3% of high school players will play football in the NCAA.
Wow.
And of those 73,000, only
And
about, what's
that's
that?
like all divisions, right? NCAA has multiple divisions. So I
Yeah,
wonder if
yeah,
that's all divisions.
all
So
divisions, all
yeah.
divisions. So of those 73,000 NCAA players, only about 16,000 are even draft eligible every year. So only
Okay.
1.6% are draft eligible. So to be eligible for the draft, you have to be out of high school for at least 3 years and use up all of your college eligibility. And so
Okay.
players who graduate early, before using up all their college eligibility, are able to basically petition the NFL and get approval to join the draft early. And so there's a few exceptions that they're starting to allow a little bit now for juniors, but for the most part, you have to use up all of your college eligibility to be draft eligible. And so of the 16,000 draft eligible players, only 259 will be drafted. So,
Wow.
and we know that a few more, will become unrestricted
Yeah.
free agents
Right.
or undrafted rookies, and so a few more. But so of the 73,000 that play in the NCAA, 0.016, not even 1%, 0.016% are drafted, 259 players. And so of players that are drafted, 30% of them will make an NFL roster. So even if you're drafted, you're not guaranteed a roster spot. In the latter rounds, the 6th and 7th round, only 10 to 15% of those will even make an NFL roster in their first 2 years.
Wow.
So it is incredibly difficult to make an NFL roster.
Yeah. It is. And then you have like the undrafted guys that
Right.
just get signed. And so I know there was like, a lot of Division II guys
Yeah.
will get signed or be invited to a camp to see what they can do. And so,
Right.
just more bodies. And so it's pretty wild to think about how hard it is to get in the NFL and play in the NFL. And so,
Yeah.
but hats off to these guys and getting paid a little money, a little pay, a little payday.
Absolutely. So, and the average NFL career only lasts 3 years. So even if they make a roster, it might not last long, which is why many of these guys, when it comes time for them to get a big deal, they want a big deal because you don't know when your last year is going to be in the NFL. It's such a short turnover. So if you last more than 5 years in the NFL, you're doing pretty good. So, I mean, think of people like Blake Bell, right, who've been around for 6 or 7 years now. And people who might look at it as like, well, that guy's not very good, but he's made in the NFL longer than the NFL average. So he's got at least something going for him.
That's why I love guys like Chase Daniel, my guy that was a backup. And like, I think he has like 2 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that is, I think, let's see, I just looked up 14 seasons in the NFL he played.
Wow. I would not have guessed that high. I would have guessed like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So 14 seasons. I think he won. Yeah. So he was he was one of my favorite quarterbacks in Mizzou to watch, but he just made a living at being a backup. And so what a deal for him.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's look at this year's draft a little bit more closely, and then we can look at some of the previous years too. So the first pick, Xavier Worthy, what did you think about that pick?
Yeah, I was I think I would have been, I'm excited about it because we got Marquise Hollywood Brown, and so I felt like that was okay. And then still having Rashid Rice as of right now, he's not suspended or anything. So having him come back on the team, and I don't think the Chiefs will cut him or anything like that for what he's done.
No,
but yeah, so I thought it was like I thought someone that had what they call someone that was wearing a Rolex and buys another Rolex for their other wrist. It was a luxury. It was a luxury pick, right? It was,
yeah.
Like we're.
Well, and the Chiefs moved up 4 spots, as you mentioned earlier, with the Buffalo Bills to get that. So yeah, I think on paper it looks like a really good pick. He set the fastest 40-yard dash time in the NFL Combine history. So, which was just set about 5 or 6 years earlier by a guy named John Ross. So we can talk about that in a second too. But I think Xavier Worthy has a great upside. I mean, his speed is dynamic, even beyond the combine. His speed is electric, and you can see it on the field coming out of Texas. His speed is real. And there's some guys who are fast that don't quite translate very well to the NFL. But here's where I see maybe a little bit of a question for him, and you might add to this too. But my question is his size as much as anything, because I think his size is going to be a factor, right? So we've talked about before, and many other people have too, not just us, but I've talked about how size is such a big deal for these guys. He's only 5'11", 165 pounds. So for reference, I weigh more than he does, and I'm not in the NFL. So maybe I shouldn't say that, but either way.
Yeah.
So, but the point is, he's not a very big guy. And so I think of games like this last year when we played against the Miami Dolphins, against Tyreek Hill, the fastest player in the NFL. What did L'Jarius Sneed do to him on the line?
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill wasn't hardly able to do anything. I'm not saying he didn't get anything, but for the most part, he was shut down because L'Jarius Sneed just manhandled him at the line.
Right.
And Tyreek Hill, he's a smaller guy, but you look at him, he's not necessarily weak either. Tyreek Hill's a strong guy, even though he's on the smaller side. Xavier Worthy doesn't have that. He might get there with the right, nutritionist and workout program in the NFL. But that's my big question: is he going to be able to sustain life in the NFL with
Right.
his size?
Yeah, I thought about that too, and I just think like they are making the NFL so soft that they're not letting guys. I mean, like now there's no like I don't even know what a hip drop tackle is, but I mean like you can't even like it's just like they're making it for the
Yeah.
wide, they're making it for the offense, and so I think that
Yep.
goes in our favor and goes in Andy Reid's favor.
Yeah.
And so you can't, like I would have been worried 10 years ago when you could blow somebody up over the middle, and just lead
Hmm.
with your head and just kill them. But you can't do that anymore. So I think it helps for that, for the rules aspect. Who was that wide receiver for the Houston Texans? Tank? Was it Tank Dell?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
Tank Dell. Was it Tank? I thought it was Tank
I was thinking,
something.
is it Tank Dell or Dell Tank?
Dell
No,
Tank. Oh, you can look it up.
it's one of
Anyway,
those.
so he was super small as well, or smaller as a wide receiver, and he was having an outbreak season. So I think it's possible, and I think the thing that excites me about Xavier is he's not only just speed, he also has a good route tree, and he can run
Yeah.
routes, and so that excites me as
Yeah.
well
Yep.
for
Tank
him.
Dell. He's almost the same size. He's 1 inch shorter than Xavier Worthy, but the exact same weight, 5'10",
Boom,
165.
boom.
So
So
good comparison.
I think we can. Hopefully, he can do what. Hopefully, he's the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, now, granted, he did get hurt at the end of the year getting tackled. So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Well, these hip drop tackles that are now
yeah,
banned might work
right.
out for us. So, but I've heard
Yeah,
you probably have too. A lot of these NFL players, even offensive NFL players, are saying they are against this rule change. They don't like it because they even said, "What is
yeah,
the defense supposed to do?" It's like because
right.
sometimes you're just running after a guy and you're just
Yeah,
trying to pull him down. You're not necessarily trying to hip drop tackle him, but it just
right,
happens, And for those who are wondering, the hip drop tackle they're talking about is like when you basically wrap a guy up on your hip and just fall backwards on him
right.
or fall backwards yourself. So yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah. So,
So all right, well, and then let's talk about this next one too. The next pick that the Chiefs had was Kingsley. Hopefully, I don't butcher his last name. Sumatia.
all
So
right.
offensive lineman from BYU. Chiefs
He
once
would,
again move up to draft him. Got this guy move up one spot even to draft him with the 49ers, who they just beat in the Super Bowl. So all I know is I
yeah,
don't know what these teams are doing,
they're just
trading with the
giving,
Chiefs. But
yeah,
my other side is I really question that move up
yeah,
because it's one spot.
right.
And the 49ers ended up drafting a wide receiver in the very next pick, and then they drafted
Yeah,
an offensive lineman the next round. So
yeah,
maybe they were looking at him, but I don't know. I just feel like moving up one spot seems kind of silly to me.
yeah, it does. But
Well, because they
the
moved
guy,
up one spot there, but they moved back 30 spots like 2 or 3 rounds later.
but I will tell you what, we need offensive tackles. So
That is true. That is true. So,
we need offensive tackle. So I am not mad about getting that guy. Hopefully he'll work
hey,
out.
hey, honestly, I thought he was going to be not him exactly, but I thought
Uh,
a tackle was going to be the first pick the Chiefs made. I
that's what
thought
I thought.
I thought
I
they were going
thought,
to
yeah,
surprise people and go with the tackle, and they went with the wide receiver like everybody guessed.
yeah,
So, but for this guy that they drafted in the second round from BYU, a lot of people projected him as a late first round pick, so they thought that that was good value there too. So
yeah. So well, again, we'll see how he translates to the NFL. Again, it's a lot different game than
yeah,
playing at BYU.
yeah, very true. Yeah, and they drafted a few defensive backs late in later rounds, as is Brett Veach's mo. And
Hmm.
they've been great at developing those late round guys too. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah,
that'll
yeah.
turn out to be a good thing. So we'll find out. So any other thoughts on this year's NFL draft and the guys the Chiefs took?
Nah, I thought it was, I mean,
So if you had to give it a grade right now, which we just said earlier you don't like to, but if you had to, what
yeah,
grade
if you
would you
had
give it?
to. I don't know. I feel like they didn't. I would give it like a B, a solid B.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody yesterday even, and they asked me the same thing. I said, well, if I had to get a grade right now, I'd say a B plus.
Okay.
So I like the offensive tackle in the second round. I like that pick a lot.
Yeah.
I think Xavier Worthy, if he gets to the upside, you can bump this maybe up, even up to an A. But with that question,
Yeah,
I can't say that's an A. And once you get to some of these other guys, I mean, tied in the third round. So I'm not knocking any of these guys at all, but we
no,
just don't
no,
know what they're going to be.
right,
And so there wasn't any necessarily home run picks, I didn't think, other than maybe the tackle out of the second round. And some
right.
people would say Xavier Worthy in the first round was a home run hit too, but I'm just not there yet. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is a home run hit, but I just need to see that he can translate to the NFL. So we talked earlier that he just set the record for the fastest 40 time in the
Yeah,
NFL Combine, which was set by John Ross a few years earlier.
he
Uh,
played for the Chiefs.
he played for the Chiefs briefly. They signed him this last offseason, and then he retired before the season even began. So
Yeah,
he was so injury prone because of his size and everything else. And then even when he was on the field, he wasn't able to actually convert. He only caught like 40% or maybe a hair more of career passes thrown his way. In 5 seasons, he didn't even have 1,000 yards total.
yeah,
So speed does not always translate. So
yeah,
I hope it does this time, but it doesn't always translate.
yeah. Hopefully, and I just hope it opens up. I mean, think about. I really think this year will be the. I think Mahomes is going to break the his first season. Well, I call it his rookie season.
As far as yards or touchdowns or what?
All of it.
Oh man, so he's going to set all the records. So he's going to have over 5,000 passing yards again and over 50 touchdowns again.
Mark, put it down.
All right. All right.
Put it
So
down.
Dale is saying Buffalo Bills are not going to get above 7 wins, and Mahomes is going to shatter all of his uh, single season records with the Chiefs.
Think about the weapons he has.
Hey, I hope you are correct. I think he's got some weapons. I think they
I
need
mean,
another. I think they need another guy inside to balance Travis Kelce. Because if you can get Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy on the outside, breaking
yeah.
the top, and then get Travis Kelce and maybe somebody else.
I think
Maybe
you.
this new tight end will do it. I don't know, but somebody else
I
to
think
just
you.
balance that inside. Then I agree with you.
I think you. Xavier Worthy is going to exceed all expectations. You're
All
going to put
right.
him. He's going to start on the outside with
Well,
Hollywood Brown.
he has to. Rashee Rice is going to be
Well,
suspended for at least a few games.
well, Hollywood Brown is going to
So
be on the
are
other
you
side,
saying?
and then
Are you
I'm saying
saying?
move Rashid into the slot.
All right, we'll find out. We'll find out. So hey, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. So
So
I
just
think
mark it
that.
down. He's going to have more. He's going to break every record.
All right, so Mahomes is going to break the record, and apparently Xavier Worthy is going to as well. Here's this: do you think Xavier Worthy is going to set the record for the rookie yards in the season?
No,
I don't know what it is right now, but
I think it's like 937
well,
yards.
I'm sure it's high.
But I
But
mean, just the fact that I think you have so many weapons, four guys. I think it'll be like that. I think the first year will be like the Juju year, where they won it 2 years ago, where it was someone different every game, right? It was a different wide receiver until Juju kind of filled that form, and then it was a heavy dose of Juju and Travis Kelce.
yeah. Well, Rashee Rice last year was second all time in Chiefs rookie yards with
Okay.
938. So we know it's at least more than 938 to set the record for that.
Well, that'd be Dwayne Bowe, right? Dwayne Bowe probably holds the Chiefs record
He might. He might.
with Alex
Uh,
Smith.
well, that, Dwayne Bowe would have been a rookie before Alex Smith got there.
Oh, would he have been?
Oh, yeah. Probably like Matt Castle or somebody like that.
Oh, even more. Uh,
Hey, Dwayne Bowe's best year was 1 year when he led the league in receiving touchdowns. And after that, he was inconsistent at best. So, not to throw shade at him, but all right.
no.
Hey, let's look at some of these past years too, real quick.
Okay.
So,
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
because this is what you can really base your grades on. So, let's just look at last year, the 2023 Chiefs draft pick. So, um, last year in the first round, they picked Felix Uzuma, the
Ooh.
defensive end from Kansas State. They had
Yeah.
Rashee Rice in the second round, Wanye Morris, offensive line in the third round, Shamar Connor, defensive back in the fourth round, fifth round, BJ Thompson, defensive end, sixth round, Condre Coburn, defensive tackle, and last round Nick Jones, cornerback. How would you grade that draft?
Man, C plus.
Yeah, I would say a C. Rasheed Rice is the only one that's
Yeah.
really jumped
Well,
off.
I thought that Nick Jones played like a couple big games because someone got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these, even Connor had a few big games too.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
And then
so
Felix came in at the end. I think he made a couple plays in the playoffs and Super Bowl. That was so
yeah,
yeah, a solid C plus.
yeah, yeah. I'm just some of the other guys. I'm just not. I can't give it a higher grade because of some of the other guys.
All right, all right. That just
So
shows. I mean, I think that just shows the point that we're trying to make is that like it's hard. It's hard to make
yeah,
the NFL.
very hard, very hard. So all right, do one more year. The year before that, it's a 2022 NFL draft. So, like I
All
said, I
right.
think you need to be at least 2 years away, which would be this class,
Yep.
to really grade them out. And so we can do the previous year too if you want, but let's do 2022. So first round, 2 picks: Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis. Second round, 2 picks: Sky Moore, Brian Cook. Third round, Leo Chanel. Fourth round, Joshua Williams. Fifth
Yeah.
round, Darian Kennard. Seventh round, 3 picks: Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Johnson.
Well, that's definitely an A plus.
I mean, I don't know how you can't,
I don't
right?
know that. I mean,
That's got
like,
to be an A plus. It's got to be.
well, who was
So,
the second round? You said Cook and who?
Sky Moore.
Yeah, that's the only bust, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so far at this point.
Yeah. I mean, because of these guys, let's see, there's Trent, George, Brian Cook, Leah Chanel, Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco. So 6 guys easily are highly contributed
Yeah.
players to the team. And you could throw Sky Moore in there too, and make it more.
Yeah.
Joshua Williams maybe even too. So I mean, all
Yeah.
these guys have had a hand in something that the Chiefs
Yeah.
have done.
Yeah.
All
Sky
those
Moore
guys
scored
have
a
made,
touchdown in the Super Bowl.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
So huge, huge. So the Chiefs 2023 roster, so last year's roster,
uh-huh.
of their starters that they had, 17 were Chiefs draft picks.
Wow.
So 17 were Chiefs draft picks. 30 draft picks were on the roster last year, including 15 undrafted players. So they're filled with, I mean, that just goes to prove that these guys know what they're doing, how to build a roster. I mean, they've won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl, and now they have just last year 30 players of the 53 were players that they drafted,
Yeah.
and 15 were undrafted players that they found elsewhere. So 45 of the 53 were either drafted or undrafted players.
Wow.
That's incredible. Now, some of those undrafted came from other teams and whatnot too, but even so,
Yeah.
that's some great return and some great picks here. So, all right, last couple things here. What do you think's going to happen with Rasheed Rice? Because we have to address that because that is the
Oh
elephant in
yeah.
the room here.
Oh yeah. That definitely is a big elephant. I don't know. It feels like every report I read is there's something different.
I agree. It
Number
is.
one, it doesn't feel like we have all the facts, which I guess we don't need to know all the facts. It's his life. Let him go. But yeah, I think 4 game suspension.
All right. Well, I think I agree with you. I don't think anybody really knows what's happening because every report is different. But
Yeah.
I think he is going to be suspended. I kind of thought he'd be closer to the 6 game suspension. I hope
Yeah.
you're closer to accurate. I'd like him to be out less. I mean, the thing that goes in his advantage is that nobody was seriously injured.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the big thing is he walked away from a wreck that he
Right.
was either at or semi-responsible for, and so that does
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
look good on him. And so that's the big thing is because he walked away,
Yeah.
what's going to happen?
And I think the good news is the Chiefs haven't cut him yet.
Yeah.
I think they would have cut ties pretty quick if.
I didn't really think they were going to begin with.
Well, I know, but if they were going to let go of somebody, I think they would have done it faster than let him have this false hope. And I know he was participating in OTAs via Zoom.
Yep. Yep. Very true. All right. Last question for you. This is more of
All right.
a prediction question. So
I'm ready. I'm predicting all kinds of crazy things.
I know. So, all right. So for this coming year, between
Yeah.
Rasheed Rice and Hollywood Brown, so we know that most likely Rasheed Rice is going to be suspended a few games. And so we're not going to go total yards, but as far as the average yards per game, and maybe we can even do it after Rashee Rice comes back, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So the
yeah.
games that they're both on the field, who is going to average more yards per game in those games between Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, give me Hollywood Brown.
All right,
I,
I
I
like it.
love I love Rasheed Rice, and I think he's great. I think he's here for the long term. I think Hollywood Brown is on this 1 year deal and
Yeah.
is motivated to get paid. And so I think he's going to be locked in and do whatever he can to help the team. And he's going to catch those balls and score a lot of touchdowns. He's going to be part of the big reason why Mahomes has 58 touchdowns this year.
Well, I hope you're right.
57. Heinz 57. He's going to get it.
All right. Well, in his rookie year, Rashee Rice, who struggled at the beginning of the
Yeah.
year, won't quite get that. So Hollywood Brown, though, in his career, has only had one season over 1,000 yards.
Wow.
And his highest after that is 769 yards his second year.
There you go.
So, but
Well,
I think to your point, I think a lot of these guys have some of their best years when they come play with Mahomes. I mean, look at
yeah,
Juju, right? I'm
right.
not saying that was necessarily his best year, but he had a hugely productive year and then went and got himself paid with the Patriots
Right.
and basically did nothing.
Yeah.
So I think Mahomes makes all these guys better. So if I had to pick between the two, I think it's hard to say who's going to have more yards per game,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'd go with Rashee Rice simply because I think they're going to use him more in the screen game and he's going to get a lot of yards that way.
Yeah.
And I think Hollywood Brown is there to stretch the field a lot more.
Yeah.
So, and
Let's
I
open it
now
up.
the flip side of that is if he converts on those once he stretches the field, he's going to get chunks real quick. So,
Yeah.
uh, we'll see what happens there. So, hey, but thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. This episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tea at a time. Hey, you can also get t-shirts for Oh Hey Threads. You can get t-shirts for the Kingdom Corner here on our website. Just check it out. Get you some merch and spoiler alert, Dale doesn't even know this yet. We might be getting some few hats in too. So
Oh
we'll,
man.
we'll,
All
we'll find
right.
out. Dale's all about them hats. So,
Yes, I am.
we'll see what we can do. So, hey, let us know what you think about this. What do you think about the draft picks and how the Chiefs are going to be doing this year with those guys and everyone else too. So, thanks for joining us in this episode. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.